Lizzie Borden took an axe, gave her mother 40 whacks. When she saw what she had done, she gave her father 41.
Lizzie Andrew Borden, August 4, 1892. Lizzie Andrew Borden was born on July 19, 1860, in Fall River, Massachusetts, to Andrew Jackson Borden and Sarah Anthony Borden. Andrew and Sarah had two other daughters, Emma Lenora, born March 1, 1851, and Alice Esther, born May 3, 1856. Sadly, Alice passed away in 1858 due to hydrocephalus. Just 3 years after the birth of Lizzie, Sarah passed away due to uterine congestion and spinal disease. When Lizzie was 6 years old, her father married Abby Durfee Gray. It is believed that Abby was genuinely kind to both Emma and Lizzie and was even called mother by the two until Andrew signed over the deed to a home to Abby's sister-in-law. Both Emma and Lizzie were thought to have considered this to be an infringement on their inheritance, and they began addressing their new mother as Mrs. Borden. After Andrew signed over the property to Abby's relative, both of the Borden sisters demanded a gift of equal value. Not one to deny his daughters, Andrew sold the girls a rental property for $1 and allowed them to collect the rent. In addition to this rental property, Lizzie and Emma were given a weekly allowance in the amount of $4. This amounts to about $110 a week of spending of money. The girls later sold the property back to their father for $5,000 just 2 weeks prior to his murder. This amounts to about $134,000 in today's money. Even so, many believe animosity remained in the household. Reports say that Lizzie was not shy about letting everyone know that she felt the family was living well below their means. The rich Borden cousins that lived up on the hill were a source of jealousy for both Lizzie and Emma. I find this interesting considering Lizzie was very active within the church and even taught Sunday school to immigrants. From all evidence, she adored her father and served as the son he never had, even learning the family business. According to pharmacist Eli Bentz, on August 3, 1892, Lizzie Borden had been in his store requesting prussic acid to clean a sealskin cloak. He says he politely informed her that she would need a prescription for the poisonous substance, and she left without incident. Later the same day, the entire household suffered a mysterious sickness. The only family member that was not struck down with this illness was Emma, who was out of town 15 miles away. Abby went to the local doctor and claimed she had been poisoned. However, in the days of no refrigeration, it is quite possible that this was simply a touch of food poisoning. Amidst the sickness, the family was greeted by an unexpected guest, John Morse, Lizzie's maternal uncle. He arrived on the evening of August 3rd. He was presumably there to discuss various business ventures with Andrew, possibly even the inheritance he was owed from the death of his sister Sarah Borden. On the morning of Thursday, August 4th, 1892, the maid, Bridget Sullivan, served breakfast to both Andrew and Abby, along with the unexpected visitor who had arrived the night before. After breakfast, both gentlemen left the home to go about other business, John to see another relative in town and Andrew to deal with his own company's daily needs. At 9 a.m., Abby asked the maid, Bridget Sullivan, to clean the windows both inside and out. This was an odd request, as she was usually kind to the maid and the weather was stifling hot at 90 degrees. Around 9:30 a.m., Abby Borden was upstairs tending to the guest room John Morris had been in the night before. This was usually a chore done by Emma or Lizzie, so why she was cleaning the room is also a mystery and out of character. Presumably while making the bed, Abby Borden was struck with an axe 19 times and left bleeding on the guest room floor. About an hour later, her father, Andrew Borden, arrived home and was let in by the maid, Bridget Sullivan, who had begun cleaning the inside windows. When Mr. Borden inquired about his wife's whereabouts, Lizzie claimed she had received a note from a sick friend in town and gone to tend to them. Within 30 minutes of his arrival, he was struck 11 times in the parlor while he slept on the couch. At 11 a.m., Bridget had finished cleaning the windows and decided to lay down in her bedroom on the third floor. At 11:10 a.m., Bridget reported that she heard screams from Lizzie. "Come quick! Father is dead! Somebody came in and killed him!" Immediately after Bridget descended the stairs from her room, Lizzie instructed her to run and fetch the doctor. Bridget later told police that Lizzie was not covered in blood and appeared neat and clean as usual. Once officials arrived, they began questioning Lizzie and the maid about the incident. Little did they know that Abby lay dead upstairs. When questioned about the whereabouts of her stepmother by police, Lizzie claimed Abby had received a note from a friend and had ventured into town. She then asked Bridget to check upstairs because she believed she heard Abby come into the home. This is when the body of Abby Borden was found on the floor of the guest room laying face down. Lizzie was never able to produce the note to investigators. However, as testified by the maid, no blood or other forensic evidence was noted in the file as found on Lizzie after detectives arrived on the scene. No official search was conducted in the house until after 32 hours had passed. The only thing that was discovered during this search was a hatchet with its handle sawed off in the basement. There was no human blood on the hatchet, but it was covered in ashes. This seemed odd to investigators, considering two axes right next to the one they took had no ashes on it whatsoever. Without any forensic proof, it was only speculated to be the official murder weapon. So who murdered the Bordens? There seems to be 4 possible suspects: John Morse, the uncle, Bridget Sullivan, the maid, a wandering immigrant, and Lizzie Borden herself. Since Emma was out of town at the time, it is presumed she is innocent. Let's look to Lizzie first. According to a friend of Lizzie's, Alice Russell, Lizzie had burned a dress the Sunday after the murders occurred. Alice reported that Lizzie claimed the dress to be stained with paint. This was confirmed later by a seamstress, house painter, and Lizzie's own sister Emma. All 3 said that the dress was in fact stained with paint. Lizzie claimed to have been in the barn at the time of her father's murder looking for lead weights for an upcoming fishing trip. She claimed that she spent some extra time under a tree enjoying 2 pears prior to returning to the home to discover her father on the couch in the parlor. While some say spending 20 minutes in a barn on a hot summer's day is unlikely, her story was confirmed in part by witness testimony. She was reportedly seen exiting the barn at about 11:03 a.m. The pharmacist had claimed she was in the store asking for poison, and just one day prior the household was hit with bouts of illness. However, it was reported that Lizzie herself also claimed to be sick, and after an autopsy on the 2 Bordens, no poison was found. The testimony of the pharmacist would not be admissible to the case for the murders, as the judge determined it was not related. If Lizzie had been the culprit, how could she have committed both murders without so much as a drop of blood on her? Would she have had time from 11:03 a.m. to 11:10 a.m. to murder her father, clean herself up, get rid of the murder weapon, and change her dress prior to calling for the maid? Moving on to John Morse, he visited the Bordens' home very unexpectedly, according to both Lizzie and the maid. While both Lizzie and Bridget confirmed that he left the home after breakfast, he testified that he was still in town visiting a sick niece. He even testified that the very same doctor that was tending to the Borden household after the bodies were discovered was the same doctor tending to his niece. How can a doctor be in 2 places at the same time? Why did he show up on their doorstep unannounced the night before? Was he really only there to discuss an inheritance? Did Mr. Borden refuse to give him what he felt he deserved? This could be motive for killing the Borden family members. Many believe that an immigrant had to be the one to blame for the murders because it was just too hard to accept that a member of the community had killed in cold blood. Would someone unknown to the family be able to sneak into the home unnoticed by not only Lizzie and Bridget, but all of the neighbors as well? Would Lizzie or Bridget have heard someone falling to the ground after a massive strike to the head? Would someone really have hid in the house for an hour and a half between the 2 murders? That leaves us with the maid, Bridget Sullivan. How is it she spent her morning washing all of the windows of the home, reportedly never seeing anything amiss? Would she have murdered her employers and left herself without a job? She had opportunity to kill both Abby and Andrew Borden, and it would explain how she was not able to hear anything happening even though she was in and around the house at the time. This case has been speculated on for more than 125 years. A jury of 12 men found Lizzie not guilty for the murders, and no one else has ever been charged. Could a seemingly proper, well-brought-up Sunday school teacher have murdered the father she adored and the stepmother she held contempt for? Who do you think committed these crimes? Let me know what you think and why in the comments down below. Also, please like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon for notifications of when I upload my next video.